There are moments in life that cause time to stand still. A wedding, the birth of a child, the first time you see the ocean. But there is one moment that eclipses them all, one moment that every person will face, whether they are ready or not true. The moment of death. We avoid it in our conversations, we hide it in our culture, and we disguise it with softer words. Yet it is the one appointment no human can cancel, no matter their wealth, their power, or their influence. For most, death is thought of as the end, a full stop to the story. But what if it is not the end at all? What if death is not a wall but a door? What if, in that split second when the heart beats for the last time, you are not entering nothingness, but stepping into a realm more real than the one you leave behind? In ancient writings, in scripture, in testimonies whispered across millennia, there are threads of a truth that modern society has nearly forgotten, the truth that life continues beyond the grave. That the instant the soul departs from the body, it is not drifting into silence, but is ushered into the presence of realities too great to imagine. Heaven or hell, light or darkness, joy unspeakable or terror unimaginable. The first 7 days after death are not a blur, nor are they empty. They are filled with movement, with revelation, with a divine unfolding. In those 7 days, the soul experiences what the eyes could never see on earth, what the ears could never hear, and what the mind could never fully comprehend. It is during this time that the eternal direction of a person is confirmed, their place in the ages to come forever secured. You may think you have heard it all before. You may believe you know what happens when someone dies, but there are mysteries beyond the reach of human imagination. In those moments after death, there is no pretense, no mask, no reputation to hide behind. All that remains is the reality of the soul before the one who created it. These are not myths or fables meant to comfort or frighten. They are warnings and promises written into the fabric of creation, embedded in the deepest part of human conscience. They tell us that how you live now shapes where you will spend forever. They remind us that there is a countdown, not only to your final breath, but to the eternal chapter that follows it. In the next moments, we will step across the threshold with the eyes of faith and peer into the mysteries of the first 7 days after death. Prepare yourself, for this is not a journey of imagination but of revelation. This is not about what could be. It is about what is. And once you have seen it, you will never view life or death the same way again. In a single moment, without warning, the breath that once rose and fell within the chest is gone. The heart, which has beaten unceasingly since the moment of life's beginning, becomes still. Muscles slacken, the eyes glaze, and warmth begins to fade from the skin. Yet in that instant, something more profound than the stopping of bodily functions has taken place. The soul, unseen yet more real than the body it inhabited, has separated. It is as though a traveler has stepped out of a tent, leaving behind the temporary dwelling that could no longer hold them. From the vantage point of those who remain, it may seem like an ending, a final curtain closing on a life story. But for the one who has crossed that invisible line, it is the beginning of a journey they could not have fully imagined while clothed in flesh. Time no longer counts the seconds. The measures of this world lose their meaning. The physical shell lies motionless, but the person, the true self, has stepped into another realm. In that first moment beyond breath, there is clarity unlike anything known on earth. Memories may flash, not in the random scatter of earthly recollection, but in a vivid unveiling that ties each moment to its eternal significance. There is no longer any way to cling to possessions, titles, or the identities shaped by others. Every accomplishment, every failure, every hidden thought is no longer buried in secrecy, but illuminated in the light of truth. The senses of the body have ceased, but the senses of the soul are alive and sharpened. The sound of silence is deafening because it is not empty. It is filled with the reality of where the soul now is. For some, that first awareness brings overwhelming peace, an embrace of love so powerful that every earthly sorrow dissolves. For others, it brings dread, a recognition that they are far from the one who made them, standing in a darkness that is not merely the absence of light, but the presence of separation. The separation itself is not slow, it is instantaneous. One heartbeat you are in the world you have always known, the next you are standing in the realm you have always been moving toward. Whether you realized it or not, the veil between life and death is thinner than the air we breathe. And when it parts, no one can turn back. It happens in less than the blink of an eye. The crossing. One moment the soul hovers at the edge of its earthly home, and the next it is thrust into a realm that is no longer bound by time, space, or the physical laws of the world it knew. There is no tunnel of minutes or hours to pass through. It is immediate, irreversible, and absolute. The threshold is not made of stone or wood. It is invisible to mortal eyes, yet it is more real than the ground under human feet. To cross it is to leave behind everything familiar and step into the eternal reality that has always been there, waiting beyond the veil. For the soul aligned with the Creator, the crossing is like being drawn toward an indescribable brilliance. Light is everywhere, yet it does not blind, it illuminates. This light is alive, not a mere glow, but a presence that radiates love, purity, and peace. There is a sense of being fully known and fully accepted. The weariness of the years falls away like a heavy cloak, replaced with an unshakable certainty that this is home. Voices, harmonious and powerful, rise in welcome, not in the language of earth, but in the language of heaven that needs no translation. The soul is not lost in the vastness, but found in it, embraced by the reality it was made for. But for the soul that has turned away, the crossing is altogether different. There is no light drawing them in, only a darkness that is alive with absence. It is not simply blackness. It is the suffocating void of separation from the source of all life. This darkness is aware, oppressive, and heavy. There is no warmth, no welcome, only the echo of what was rejected. The soul feels the weight of its choices, the undeniable truth of a lifetime of decisions that have now set its eternal course. There is no bargaining, no changing direction once the crossing has been made. In that instant of transition, there is no neutral ground. No soul hovers endlessly between light and darkness. For the crossing is the great divide, the final sorting of paths. The realm beyond responds to the soul's condition, the way a magnet draws metal or repels it. The righteous are pulled into the presence of glory. The unrighteous are drawn away from it. This is not punishment without cause, nor reward without reason. It is the natural conclusion of the road each soul has walked in life. When a soul departs the earth, it is not an unnoticed event. To human eyes, it may appear as a quiet passing, a stillness in a room, a heartbeat that simply stops. But in the unseen realms, the moment is marked. Heaven and earth, both visible and invisible creation, bear witness to the departure of every soul, for no life exists in isolation. The breath that leaves the body returns to the one who gave it, and the act is not silent. It is recorded in eternity. In the heavens there is movement. For the soul redeemed, angelic hosts are dispatched not in confusion but in purpose. They are not strangers to this work. They have awaited this moment from the foundations of the world. Their mission is not only to guide, but to escort, to carry the soul into the presence of glory. The heavenly realm responds with joy, for the returning of a righteous soul is a homecoming. The sound is not like earthly celebration. It is purer, more resonant, the rejoicing of those who see the story from beginning to end. Every trial overcome, every act of faith, every whispered prayer becomes part of the welcome. But for the soul that departs without reconciliation to its Maker, the scene is different. The heavenly hosts still bear witness, but they do not intervene to alter the path. There is grief in the courts of heaven, for the one who formed the soul desired its salvation. There is no indifference, there is sorrow. The angels do not rejoice over such a passing, for the separation is now sealed. Even creation itself groans, for the life that could have walked in the light has turned from it. On earth, creation responds in ways that go unnoticed by most. The air seems heavier in the moments after death. The room stills in a way that is more than the absence of movement. Animals sometimes sense what people do not. They grow quiet, restless, or withdrawn. The body, now empty of its occupant, becomes a vessel without the fire that animated it. The very molecules of the air shift, for the soul that bore the image of God has left the temporal world. The witnesses are not only angels and the physical world, but also those in the unseen company of heaven who have gone before. They watch as another story reaches its conclusion. For the righteous, it is a moment of great anticipation. Another citizen of the eternal kingdom has arrived. For the lost, it is a solemn acknowledgement that the choices of life have reached their final outcome. The first sight beyond the veil is unlike anything the human mind can fully imagine. It is not the hazy dream of a drifting spirit, but a clarity more real than the sharpest moment of waking life. The colors are deeper, the light more alive, the air, if it can be called air, charged with a presence that penetrates to the core of the soul. In an instant, the boundaries of the physical world are left behind, and the eyes of the spirit open to a realm that has been there all along, hidden until this precise moment. For the redeemed, the first sight is a flood of beauty and holiness. Light emanates from a source that is not a star or a sun, but a living being whose presence fills everything. The soul feels no fear here, only the overwhelming sense of belonging. Landscapes stretch out that seem to breathe with life. Meadows, rivers, and skies not bound by the limitations of earth. The light does not cast shadows. It penetrates everything it touches, bringing warmth and joy that saturate every part of the spirit. There is an instant recognition that all longing, all restlessness, has found its answer. For the lost, the first sight is equally vivid, but the experience is wholly different. Darkness surrounds, not in the way of nightfall, but as a living absence, a suffocating void that seems to watch. The air is thick and heavy, not filled with peace, but with the awareness of separation. Shapes may loom, indistinct yet oppressive, their very presence a reminder that the soul has entered a place it was never meant to call home. There is no horizon, only the weight of hopelessness pressing in. The veil itself does not part gradually. It tears away in a single instant. The soul does not stumble blindly into this new reality. It is suddenly aware, fully awake in a way it never was on earth. Every sensation is heightened. The sounds, whether they are the harmonies of heaven or the echoes of desolation, are not heard with ears but felt deep within. The sights are not merely seen, but understood at a level beyond intellect, carrying meaning with every detail. For both the righteous and the unrighteous, the first sight beyond the veil strips away all illusions. The soul sees life for what it truly was, an eternity for what it truly is. There are no doubts here, no debates, no theories. Only the undeniable truth standing before the eyes of the Spirit. The moment comes when the soul stands in the presence of a reality it cannot escape. The weighing of the heart. This is not the judgment of human courts, swayed by argument or influenced by reputation. It is the pure and perfect discernment of the one who sees all things as they truly are. Nothing is hidden here. Every thought, every word, every deed, every motive lies open, as if the soul itself has been turned inside out before the gaze of absolute truth. The weighing is not done with scales of metal, but with the balance of holiness and righteousness. The standard is not the shifting measure of human morality, but the unchanging perfection of the Creator. The heart is weighed not by the good deeds a person remembers, but by the reality of their relationship, or absence of relationship, with the one who gave them life. For those who belong to Him, the weight is borne not by their own merit, but by the righteousness of the one who stood in their place, who covered them with His own perfection. The judgment they face is no longer condemnation, but confirmation, a declaration that they are His and will be with Him forever. For others, the scene is far more sobering. Without the covering of grace, the heart is weighed by its own record. Every selfish act, every neglected truth, every sin that was never repented of adds to the measure. There is no shifting the blame here, no defending with excuses. The soul stands alone, with no advocate to speak on its behalf. The silence is heavy, and the truth undeniable. The weight of guilt is too great to balance the scale. The witnesses in this unseen court are not there to accuse, but to affirm what is already evident. Angels, spirits, the very creation that was touched by the soul's life, all bear testimony to the reality of who this person was. The weighing is not drawn out. It is precise, swift, and final. The soul knows instantly the verdict, even before it is spoken, for in this place, truth cannot be argued with. For the righteous, the weighing brings joy, not fear. They see their lives not as perfect records of flawless living, but as testimonies of grace. Their flaws are covered, their failures redeemed, their sins remembered no more. The verdict is not earned, it is given. and it is given with love, not because of what they have done, but because of who they belong to. In the realm beyond death, the first 7 days are not a time of wandering without purpose. They are the unfolding of a final and unchangeable reality. Once the soul has crossed the threshold, witnessed the unseen, and stood before the divine judgment, the path is fixed. There is no appeal, no second trial, no turning back. The eternal direction is set, and it will never alter. These 7 days are not days in the way the living measure them. For time in eternity is not marked by the rising and setting of the sun. Yet they are a sequence of divine order in which the soul fully enters the place it will inhabit forever. For the redeemed, these days are filled with revelation upon revelation. The first moments are an overwhelming welcome into the presence of the One they have loved, though they had not seen Him with earthly eyes. As eternity opens before them, they are led deeper into the realms of light, into gardens, cities, and places that reflect the perfection of their Creator. They are reunited with those who have gone before, those whose faith anchored them in the same hope. They begin to understand with clarity the mysteries that once puzzled them on earth. For now they see with the mind of eternity. Joy is not a passing feeling here. It is the atmosphere itself. For the lost, the first 7 days reveal the opposite. The moment of judgment gives way to a descent into the place of separation, a realm without the light of the Creator. Here, there is no relief from the weight of regret, no comfort from the presence of God. The soul becomes painfully aware that the absence of His presence is the greatest loss of all. Every reminder of what could have been is magnified. The choices made in life echo here, not to offer hope, but to confirm that the path was set long before this moment. In these days, the soul fully takes its place in its eternal dwelling. There is no blending of light and darkness, no mingling of joy and sorrow. Each realm is complete within itself. For the righteous, the glory grows greater with every step as they explore the infinite depth of God's kingdom. For the unrighteous, the weight of separation becomes more real with every passing moment as they realize they have been cut off from the source of all life. This is why the first 7 days after death are so decisive. They are not a trial period, but the confirmation of the destiny that life on earth prepared. Eternity is not chosen in death. It is chosen in life, and death only reveals the choice. When these 7 days have passed, the soul is fully and forever settled in its place. The gates have closed, the path is fixed, and the direction will never change. What was begun with the last breath is now complete, and the ages to come will only be the outworking of what has been eternally set.